Unconstitutional, but the court has decided it's a tax, and therefore it's okay. So Obamacare is nothing more than the largest tax increase in the history of the world. And the people who were characterizing it as such were right and were telling the truth. We have the biggest tax increase in the history of the world, right in the middle of one of this country's worst recessions. In fact, as the Vice President said yesterday, a depression for millions of Americans. The Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, John Roberts, said it's not our job to protect the people from the consequences of their political choices. Not our job. Well, what about when we are deceived? The court upheld a law that was not what we were told it would be. What has been upheld here is fraud. And the Internal Revenue Service has just become Barack Obama's domestic army. That is what we face now. We were deceived. Obamacare was a lie. It was a stealth tax on all Americans, and nobody knew it until today. Not officially. Obama told George Stephanopoulos it wasn't a tax. And Stephanopoulos was troublemaking for trying to suggest otherwise. Let's go to the audio soundbite. September 20th, 2009, on This Week, George Stephanopoulos interviewing President Obama, discussion about the health care reform bill. Stephanopoulos said, under this mandate, the government's forcing people to spend money, fining you if you don't. How is that not a tax increase?
No, that's not true, George. For us to say that you've got to take a responsibility to get health insurance is absolutely not a tax increase. What it's saying is that we're not going to have other people carrying your burdens for you, any more than the fact that right now everybody in America just about has to get auto insurance. Nobody considers that a tax increase. People say to themselves, that is a fair way to make sure that if you hit my car, that I'm not covering all the costs.
Stephanopoulos then said, well, it may be fair, it may be a good public policy.
No, but George, you can't just make up that language and decide that that's called a tax increase.
I don't think I'm making it up. Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Tax, a charge usually of money imposed by authority on persons or property for public purposes.
George, the fact that you looked up Merriam's dictionary, the definition of tax increase, indicates to me that you're stretching a little bit right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone to the dictionary to check on the definition.
Well, no.
I mean, if what you're saying is...
I wanted to check for myself, but your critics say it is a tax increase.
My critics say everything's a tax increase. My critics say that I'm taking over every sector of the economy. You know that. Look, we can have a legitimate debate about whether or not we're going to have an individual mandate or not. But
you reject that it's a tax increase.
I absolutely reject that notion.
Well, it didn't matter, did it? He lies to the American people every day. What does it matter? It's not a tax increase. We all knew what was coming down the pike if this thing were upheld, whatever it's called. We are being forced to purchase something. Whether they want to twist this as coming under the Commerce Clause or the whole thing being a tax. But you just heard Obama told us it wasn't a tax. Congress told us it wasn't a tax. Pelosi told us. And we have to pass Obamacare to find out what was in it. The Supreme Court just told us what's in it. It's a massive, regressive tax on all Americans. I remember Obama saying that couples making less than $250,000 a year would never see a tax increase if he was elected while he served. Out the window. Was a lie. We were all deceived. You call it a tax, you can call it a fine, no matter. You can say it's a power of the Commerce Clause or not, no matter. What happened today is all that matters. And what happened today is that we were bludgeoned with a tax that requires us to do as the government mandates.